From the Dallas On Air studios in beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfillment right here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your hosts, the Vegabomber, PJ Dunn, and the Film Samurai, Carlos Salinas.
We also thought, because we are looking at 2020, the year in review, we also need to look at some of the missteps for the bad films, right? And there were several of those out there as well. So, Carlos, we'll let you kick off the worst.
Oh, the worst. Okay, I'll start off with this one. A Polish film. I only watched this because a lot of people were talking about it. You know, I use Twitter a lot. I'm film Twitter, and when people talk about certain films, I want to see it to be able to say, okay, I saw it. This is my opinion of it. Or, you know, at least I can get in the conversation if I want to.
Famous last words of a film fan.
But then I watched it, and it's called 365 Days. It's a Polish film. It's been described as a Polish version of 50 Shades of Grey. It's a lot of sex, graphic sex, nudity. The story is absolutely atrocious. It's basically a criminal who kidnaps this woman and tells her he's going to keep her prisoner for 365 days. And if she doesn't fall in love with him, he'll let her go. And, of course, she's very resistant for a long time, but little by little, he breaks down her defenses. And then next thing you know, they're having nonstop sex on a yacht. This guy's super rich. There's a lot of the thing you can say about it is a lot of European locations that are actually really beautiful. It's shot very well.
Okay.
But the acting it's very cliche. It's very it's just dull, boring. The ending is dumb, stupid. And it was a waste.
Spoiler alert! Hello.
It was a waste. So I don't recommend it. It was one of the worst of the year. Yeah, one of my lowest rated. I think I gave it a star, 1 star out of 5.
Oh man!
But that was basically just because of the production. The production was decent. You know, it was watchable in that part of it. But I guess there were people who got into it, or people who enjoy, I don't know, romance novels, but it was not romantic at all. I guess it sort of was, but I don't know. It was just awful. There's no redeeming value to it.
Nothing about it. 365.
Unless you just like watching a lot of sex.
It's just too many days.
Unless you want to watch Rick Steves' Europe with a hostage situation.
Hold on to your butts. Wow. How about you, K-Zach?
All right. So my first of the worst is, let's just get into it. Birds of Prey and the entirely,
yes,
and the entire overly complicated title starring Harley Quinn.
Ugh.
Okay. The action sequences were well done, but the film is just disposable. I mean, like I said, I like Margot Robbie. I like her.
Yep.
I like her as Harley Quinn. I like everyone in this film. I hate this film because it's just completely disposable. I mean, Ewan McGregor is great chewing scenery, but he's just chewing it uselessly. And
it's wasted in it. For sure.
The plot is just inane. What they do with a lot of these classic DC characters is just atrocious. I mean, the whole film, like I said, it's just mindless, and it's everything you hate about a superhero film. And again, like I said, DC gets it wrong every freaking time.
They totally neutered the Huntress character, Helena Bertinelli. In the comics, she's a total badass. She's from a crime mob family. In this movie, she's this self-doubting nerd. Ridiculous.
And why would you do that with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was a fantastic actress?
Been such a badass in the movie.
Yeah. Rosie Perez, Rosie Perez, when she does what she does, she's fine. But I mean, what they do with Cassandra Cain, it's just Black Canary. Come on, it's freaking useless. If you like Harley Quinn, okay, and it's fine.
Just watch
Yeah.
the WB animated versions. Those are
Exact-
great.
Exactly.
This is ridiculous by comparison.
Yeah,
Trash.
Yeah,
Straight trash.
yeah. Just you don't need to pay full price for this one. Wait for it to come on the cable. If you really gotta watch it, again, it's just it's just a usually superhero film, and that's what really sucks because you've
Yeah.
got great characters doing useless things. But that being said, the action sequences are really well done. The roller skating behind the car thing is really
The stunt work,
fantastic.
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, the stunt work and even the visuals. Like I said, it's not a bad New York film, but the film itself is just terrible.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's yeah. Right, and these are the films that are so bad that you almost wonder if it's going to be a fruitful time even talking about them. But you got to, because we're looking out for you all out there. We don't want you to have to watch these films or start to watch them when you could be watching something great, like The Outpost or something. But I watched one as well, as you can imagine. And mainly because of it's Guilt by Actor Association. So I like Finn Wolfhard. And so there's a movie called The Turning, which gave me a headache. It's adapted from that Henry James novella of Turn the Screw, or The Turn of the Screw. Yes, that's it. And so it's just the basic a nanny who's trying to look after two troublesome young orphans in this big Gothic mansion.
I think I've seen this. It was very forgettable.
Yeah, and it's so bad. And it's like, for Finn, it's like, do you always have to be in movies? Because I think this is supposed to be set in the 90s because they're talking about how Kurt Cobain had died and, Finn Wolfhard was the drummer and all this stuff. Yeah. And I was just like, does he always have to sign up to be either in the 80s or the 90s? Is that the only thing? But it was extremely disappointing. It was uninspired at all. The plot was just boring. I mean, you just didn't care. There was nothing really memorable about it. And with Finn Wolfhard, you had a couple of actresses which I thought were pretty good, and like Mackenzie Davis is usually pretty decent, right? And Brooklyn Prince. And I think the only character that really kind of did well was the housekeeper herself, Barbara Martin. It's Mrs. Gross, played by Barbara Martin. And with this film, I just was waiting for it, and I realize now why Steven Spielberg, who was supposed to be executive producer, why he took his name off of it, because it is absolute crap. So do not watch The Turning unless you just want your stomach to be turned, because this, while Wolfhard, like Finn is great, and he's a great actor, in this movie it almost makes him look like he's not a good actor, right? Because of how some of it was staged and everything. And it's just like this, the scary parts that are supposed to be scary, they're just boring. And it's not chilling at all. It's supposed to be a supernatural story, right? If you look at the original novella by Henry James.
That's the worst.
And so this is
sin of a horror movie is to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So don't do it. Don't watch The Turning.
Yeah, be really good, be really bad. Don't be boring.
Yes. Yes.
That yeah, you're right. It absolutely is the worst sin that a horror film can do. It's just boring.
Just want to get through it and get to the end of it and just turn it off.
Everybody die. Just please die.
Get this over with, please. This film would look better on fire than it does on my TV screen. Do you have another one for us, Carlos?
Yeah, I do. This is called Ava.
Ava?
It came out this year. Directed by Tate Taylor. I don't know who that is. Never heard of this person. Jessica Chastain stars. It's another one of those women assassins. A lot of fighting, a lot of traveling around the world, killing. I could say that the stunt work was kind of terrible for this type of movie. If you compare it to Atomic Blonde, that movie was, as far as the stunt work, was amazing, believable. This one was kind of like, man, it was just kind of a waste. The story was kind of pathetic. I think Colin Farrell was in it, and I think that's why I watched it, because of Colin Farrell. I said, "Well, Colin Farrell's in it.
Colin Farrell, Gina Davis, John Malkovich, and Common.
It's got to be decent." But man, it was just like, I couldn't tell you the plot right now. All I know is that like she dressed up one time in a gown and killed somebody in a building. I don't know if it was a party or what, but it was just kind of like, I watched it and then I turned it off, and I never thought about it again until I was trying to figure out, okay, what are the worst movies I saw? So I go to my letterbox and see which ones are the lowest stars, and so that one was on there. So, okay, Ava, I remember watching that. Jessica Chastain, trying to be an action star. No, just stay with drama or whatever. or period movies. Don't try to do action.
Don't do it. And that's the star-studded cast, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
But yet,
the fight scene between her and Colin Farrell was decent, but otherwise, nah, don't watch it.
yeah.
Nah.
I'll have to do my rant one day on fight choreography because being a former guy, being a guy that used to be really heavily into UFC and MMA and watching real fights and real people getting teeth knocked out and stuff like that. There's certain things about fight choreography that, I'm just like, come on, man. And some of these, what I really
At least
hate,
make it cinematic, even if it's not realistic, make it cinematic, like
Yeah,
the
make it
Scott
cinematic.
Adkins type films, where it's just all out like brawls and stuff.
yeah,
I
because
love that stuff, but this one's just kind of
yeah, because like to me, I'm sorry, I just can't see it. I just can't see a 120-pound woman hitting a 260-pound man, and her not do something like this after she hits a dude like that.
breaks
with a
all
jaw
her
like that.
fingers.
I mean, this is ridiculous. It's like the size difference and everything else. I don't care how trained you are. If that guy's also trained, he's still got a leg up on you. So a lot of these films, when they show it, they'll show a guy punch the girl very rarely. They'll never do that, but they'll show you her just sitting there going to town on the dude. And it's like, okay, I get why you're doing that because you don't want the imagery to be this other way, but it's not realistic to do that. Like I've watched some of the real MMA fighters punching and I've seen them. And it's like, I've seen guys take a full on shot from a 260-pound man and not even turn their head. And in this movie, their head turns like she just power whopped them. And I'm like, come on, that's not what will happen. What would be more realistic is that she has something in her hand and she's beating him with
with a metal
something.
pipe.
But if you try to go fisticuffs, I just don't believe the fisticuffs that turn this guy's whole head and his whole body and he goes flying. I'm just like, you can't generate that kind of power. You might be skilled, but you can't generate the kind of power to do something like that. And if you're a dude flying like that, from like that, I want to fight you every day of the week. 'Cause you're a bitch. I can say that because the whole idea of fighting is supposed to be the counter punch with the punches, and that's why it has to be so well done. Like, again, if it's stylized for cinema, good. Yeah. But you're going to lose me if you have this 115-pound woman hitting this 240-pound guy with her fist and his head turns.
Don't ever watch the movie Anna, the Luc Besson movie. You will not believe that movie.
No, I don't like that, and I didn't like parts of. I liked Atomic Blonde, but then there was some parts where I was like, no, if she got hit by that dude, she'd have went flying. But I get what they were trying to do.
At least they put some bruises on her face. Right?
Yes, now that's what I do like. That. Thank you for that. And that's the other part. Like, is when they start doing Ray, where they get into all these fights and they never get a black eye or a scratch or anything.
Bruised,
it's like
not even dirt.
Part of the brawl is the fact that you get bruises, cuts, and welts, and that you fought through it. That's what fighters do. So if you want to sell me that you're a fighter, you can't look like you never even stepped into a fight. And if you're somebody as small of stature, you can't be throwing people like you're the Hulk or something like that. I'm not going to buy it. This is, but there's a whole thing on that. We can talk about that some other time. But thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I'm staying away from that film. Okay, Zach, what's another film I need to stay away from?
All right.
Zach hates the film. It's got to be really bad.
Oh,
yes.
You need to hate this film. I hate that it fucking exists. And it's called Hubie Halloween.
Oh, Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler said that if you don't give me an Academy Award nomination for Uncut Gems, I will unleash into you the worst possible film I can.
I believe that.
And if you thought you hated Ernest Scared Stupid, wait until you see Adam Sandler do Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh,
with
no.
his character from SNL saying, I'm crazy head on my hat man. Give me Halloween candy. He
What
did
the
this
what?
to force critics into a theater to watch his terrible film. He did this to fill his Netflix contract. He did it because he just could, and he should.
And it probably got 1 million views on Netflix.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to know this film exists. I just want it to go away. And it is everything. It is everything you hate about Adam Sandler and more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it didn't take place in a resort or something. All his movies take place in resorts or these very beautiful locations. It's big, like vacations.
None of that, huh?
He basically just said, "Look, I'm gonna get paid.
I'm just gonna make something trash.
I'm gonna go get paid to do this stupid ass film, and y'all gonna watch it.
Oh.
And I don't care about the audience. I just want the film critics to suffer That's why it exists. That's why it's on our list today as one of the worst films, because it's just terrible. It really is. It really is the COVID of. It really is the COVID.
I almost put that one on mine.
Oh, well, as somebody who did enjoy the first couple of these, the one that I have picked here that I'm going to tell everyone, don't even waste your time, save that time and go do something like fun or something, right? And it's The Grudge. They rebooted The Grudge. And it's like, first of all, why would you need to reboot it? And I know they rebooted the Blair Witch Project, and they're going to reboot Paranormal Activity and some stuff. But if you're going to reboot, what I need to see is that you came up with an original idea and you did something new. This one does not. This movie is like that milk that's expired that's still sitting on the front row. As soon as you see it, you just pass it off to the side and go grab the fresher milk. This has expired. This is nasty. This doesn't even work anymore. And so with The Grudge, I thought I would be, okay, give me something that would scare me. But nothing did. And then I can say probably the only positive thing about this film was that they did go for some practical effects. They did try to do that more so than the CGI stuff. So I can say I appreciate that. But just watching this, you just knew you were just not going to get your life back, your time back, your money back, nothing back. Even if you got it for free, you're mad that you weren't going to get your money back.
It's a reboot of an American film that was a reboot of a Japanese film.
Yes, absolutely was. And I thought the first Grunge, the first American one with Sarah Michelle Gellar in it, I thought it was pretty decent. It wasn't the best film in the world, but I thought it was pretty decent.
It was entertaining, right?
At least. Absolutely.
It was effective in certain things that it did.
No, only because after I saw the first three Americanized ones, then I watched the original, right? You just can't, like, I guess I'm just upset that it's like Nicholas Pesci here was the guy who directed this. And I'm just like, man, you've got all this data in front of you. Go make something original. It's kind of like, well, The Force Awakens, copying A New Hope. That's kind of what this is like, except for at least Force Awakens was entertaining. This copied almost all the same stuff that you'd see of the person, the hand coming through hair and doing that sort of thing. Like, it's like, how many times are we going to see that? Someone in a bathtub. You're already going, okay, something's going to come out of the water while this person. It was just like you're calling the shots left by right. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. This is going to happen. And sometimes in horror movies, there's tropes like that, of course. But here,
so basically, this was probably a money laundering scheme. This production company was making the movie to launder
it's
money.
It's Blumhouse, isn't it?
For the mob or something.
I think so. And
I think that's what a lot of these movies are these days. It's like they're nothing IPs about. The movies are just like, why did they make this movie? What was the purpose of this film?
Well, because I watched this movie, I have a grudge. I have a grudge against them for making this. There was no reason for this at all. And so the narrative was so derivative of all the narratives we saw before, right? And then, I just wanted to see maybe even a different creature effect. But just having an Asian person with long hair that you can't see with crazy eyes and just gnarly fingers... but at this stage of the game, you got to bring something else,
done that.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because the production team behind it is great because it's Sam Raimi, Rob Tapert, man.
Yeah. See, that'll hurt you even more, right? And John Cho was one of the characters in this who I thought was pretty decent. He played Peter Spencer in this film, but even he couldn't save it. And I think the other actress was Andrea Riseborough, and then Lynn Shay was in it. And Riseborough plays a detective in it, but it just wasn't. You just couldn't feel anything, and you were just kind of like, well, I want to care, but I just don't. So don't watch The Grudge, the reboot. Go watch the original, and you'll be happy. I think that's the way to go. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll get a grudge like me about The Grudge. How about another one, Carlos?
Okay.
Another putrid film.
This was putrid in every way possible.
We seem made to suffer.
Capone. Directed by Josh Trank. And you know the history of Josh Trank.
Yes.
He hasn't really made a good film. He did that Fantastic Four, that awful one.
Oh, gosh.
This
that
one was a
really
waste
bad.
because it had Tom Hardy, Linda Cardellini, some decent actors in it. Linda Cardellini, remember from... She was in the Scooby-Doo movie, but I know her from that old TV show she did, Freaks and Geeks. That was one.
She was also in the Green Book.
The Green Book, yes.
She played the
She's
wife.
the wife.
And she's not in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo. So Tom Hardy plays Capone in his last days, where he's got dementia. He's had like venereal disease. He's farting. He's shitting. He's vomiting.
Ugh.
Every disgusting thing you can do with a human body, he does it. There's no redeeming value of the film. It's like the director, and I talked about this in my original reviews, like he's testing you to see how much you can take. And test your patience with the movie, because it's very boring, very dull. It's very weird. It tries to get surrealistic, and it's just garbage for me. It was like a terrible experience. I hated it. And I'll never watch it again. I'll never recommend it.
Did we need another film about
No.
Capone? Did we? Who asked for?
And even Tom Hardy, yeah, he's an interesting actor. I usually love his stuff, and he tried to do some interesting things with his role, but it was just very hard to watch. Just repulsive, Just,
Really?
just hated it.
That's
Don't
pretty
watch
Not
sucky.
repulsive in that good way like Joker, but repulsive in that
Exactly.
avoid this stupid ass film because there's no joy in it.
Nothing.
And that's criminal. Yeah.
Ugh. Well, do you have another one for us?
Actually, flip places with me on this last one
Okay.
because we need to get into my last one.
Okay, we can definitely do that. So, my absolute worst film that took the cake from me was a film that had Robert Downey Jr. in it. It had Tom Holland in it. It had Rami Malek in it as well. This is Dr. Doolittle.
Oh,
So they
no.
decided to do
Yeah,
this
I
mess
watched
again. And Eddie Murphy did it okay, I guess, but I guess I really wasn't the person for that. But this film, I have to ask, what is so bad in Robert Downey Jr.'s life that he would sign on to do something like this post MCU, right? Like now that he's done his full run in MCU, this is the film you choose to do? Is this one? So this one has just, it's for kids. So, I try to give it that. But, the gross out humor, the farts and all that stuff, they were just disgusting. It wasn't even funny. Like the best farts ever done in a movie, I'll tell you right now, is
Blazing Saddles.
that was the first one.
Okay.
That was the first one that did it well. And I'd say who really took it to the next level was Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
That table scene where
yeah.
Eddie and all and that cold and cleansing. Yeah, you better I think I might have tripped myself. All that stuff. I mean, if you watch that scene in Nutty Professor, you will still die laughing
will
to this
crack
day
up.
because it's just hilarious. And
I
you were
saw the
thinking, how
theater,
do you do
and
that?
the entire audience was howling. Man.
Yes.
It's so funny. Yes.
Yeah, but here we got a guy who can talk to animals, and the sad part is Robert Downey Jr. is trying to use a different voice, I guess, so he can sound different.
He's doing the Johnny Depp thing, like in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh,
type
it's
thing.
horrible because his voice already. He's always quipping, and you always
grating.
don't catch some of the stuff he says. But here he
But
tries to use a certain voice the whole time, so you don't think it's Robert Downey Jr. But it's like, Robert Downey Jr., why are you making that sound come out of your mouth? And so he does it the whole film. And I think even in the trailers, they try not to show you much of it, of him talking. But like how people hate Christian Bale for doing the Batman voice, this voice that he chooses for this character, you can't even.
Is it worse than Nicolas Cage's voice in Peggy Sue Got Married?
Yes. Yes. And he
Worse than that
stuck
one.
with it. It wasn't just for a scene or two. He stuck with it. And it was just like, no.
It's a Family Guy joke. Ben Affleck sitting on the couch. Hey, I have to be Henry VIII in an hour. Hello. Got it. Nailed it.
And I mean, I'm trying to imagine, like, for kids, like, would kids really think this is funny in a lot of ways?
Talking animals.
The animals are
You know,
CG.
Talking animals, yeah.
Right?
They were CGI. The animals.
There was, and that was the other thing about it. The CGI was off-putting because you could tell that it's like, this isn't even syncing up right. And then to have Robert Downey Jr., he's making animal noises that eventually what they do is they kind of fade it into like he's speaking English so that you could hear what he's trying to say, but he starts off with and then eventually it comes into how are you doing today, Mr. Puffer, or whatever his name is, or ChiChi, I guess. And so Rami Malek is doing the voice of ChiChi. But it's just you're just sitting back and watching this, and Tom Holland can't do anything at all. You're just going, wow. And then the animals. How do you make animals look like jerks? So the whole big thing in this movie is about a dragon that needs to fart. real bad.
He has to grab.
Yeah,
into
I
his
don't
butt.
mind even just telling y'all. Just he does his own enema in his thing, the dragon, and when he does, it's just you see Downey's face as he farts on Downey, and it looks like he's in a wind machine or whatever. And I'm going, that's not funny. That's just gross.
I'm done.
That's just.
I'm done I'm exhausted from the description.
Yeah, that's just this. Yeah, and I wouldn't see this in the theater. I had to only see it, and I could only watch like the first 20 or 30 minutes, and then I paused and did something else, and I came back to it, and then because I just couldn't
consume it all at once.
I couldn't.
It was just
Yeah, it
too
was
much.
just-
Your
I was
mind would just go.
Yeah, it's like I can't believe it. Eddie Murphy did a way better job, and he didn't want to come back and do it. So I have to ask you, Robert, what was going on, bro? What was happening that you said, "Nah, this is the film I want to do"? After those, MTV
How do you
Iron Mans?
sleep at night on top of a huge pile of money? That's what he was thinking.
Yeah.
I got this MCU money. I ain't gonna get this MCU money no more. You know what I need? More money.
Well, speaking of money, I'm glad you said that. The film cost $175 million to make, and it only made like $1 million in the first week of the domestic box
Good.
office. So you know it didn't get there.
Good.
So yeah, no.
Somebody got ringed for that.
A tent pole that got turned into a tax write-off.
Yeah.
How do you go wrong with Robert Downey Jr.? You surround him by CGI animals.
That's it. That's all you have to do, and it's just disgusting. And sir, with you.
All right. So for my last one, like I said, we were talking about terrible films, but I wanted to talk about a terrible moment in film. And for me, it was the closing of the Alamo Drafthouses here in DFW, and it just. It sucks when a theater closes, but it really sucks when your favorite theater closes.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, Alamo Drafthouse is unique in the fact that it was finally a theater that catered to the film lover. Mm-hmm. You know, it was one of the first to say, "Hey, no cell phones, no talking."
Loved it.
No
Yes,
talking during
loved
the film.
that.
And you know, bringing in food and beer and things like that, making you go when you put in your money, you got your money's worth at an Alamo Drafthouse. And I mean, you know, like I said, you get unique genre titles and you get a unique film experience that was like no other place. And seeing them close here in DFW breaks my heart because, again, like I said, when those theaters close, you're stuck with the big chains and you're stuck with the stuff that you know. It's designed to get you in and get you out. It's not designed to let you stay all day and watch movies. It's not designed it's designed to sell you popcorn. It's designed to make you watch over-budgeted crap. It's designed to basically say, "Hey, we want your money." Alamo Drafthouse says, "Hey, we want you to love film."
Yes.
And it just annoys and kills me the fact that, like I said, that experience is one that we've been robbed of thanks to this year. Right now, there is an auction going on that the guy who owns Alamo Drafthouse is selling his private collection of wonderful memorabilia and posters and things like that because he's trying to pay the bills to let it survive, and it just absolutely sucks.
God.
That's what kills me about this year is the fact that, like I said, I may not get to go have that experience again. Some of the best times that I've had in the past 10 years going to a film. To a theater have been at the Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah.
Again, like I said,
Yep.
they would do Master Pancake Theater where they'd riff on stuff.
That was hilarious.
All day marathons of just terrible movies, which I personally love. I would sit and watch 8 hours of just terrible
You would.
horror movies because it's fun, and I'm watching it with other people who like films, who love films.
That's
and
fun.
That's the thing that when you go to the Alamo, that's absolutely what you go for. You're not necessarily going for the movie, and you're not necessarily going for the food. 'Cause food's great, but like I said,
Their
you're
peanut
going-
butter shakes were awesome. I gotta say that.
and their selection of beer is fantastic. But
Okay.
like I said,
Beer
you're
and peanut butter. Got
you're
it.
going. You're not going to
Peanut butter beer.
You're not going to an Alamo Drafthouse to just go watch a movie. You're going for a movie-going experience.
Yep.
And that's the thing that kills me about this year is that it's robbed me of my movie-going experience.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Like when I saw Look close down, that was one thing because I liked the theatrical the technical components of how that was built, to how you watch. Even the seats were at an angle so that nobody's sitting in front of you, even if you're tall or wore a cowboy hat or a church hat. The seating was so great that you didn't have to move much to have the best possible view. But now hearing this, absolutely same thing. I was completely devastated.
They try to show a lot of films on 35 millimeter. You know, they did a lot of that. It was not all digital all the time. They get those, you know, those old rare, real films, you know, and show those there. Those were kind of neat to go through.
Yeah, they support
hear that. You could hear it in the background.
Yeah, they support AGFA, the American Genre Film Archive. Films that, you know, like I said, don't get any notoriety because they were, you know, either, you know, sleazy or low budget, things
Bong
like that.
Joon-ho would not have been as huge. Parasite probably wouldn't have done what it did if they hadn't shown those previous Bong Joon-ho films. Like, what was it one with the train that was going around the world? Snowpiercer. Like, I saw that at the Alamo Drafthouse. I would never have known about that film if it wasn't for Alamo.
Yeah, no, I was saddened by it as well because I remember seeing the quote along. I went to go see, the Holy Grail there, and they gave us these plastic coconuts so that we could act like we were, you know, collecting them together just like in the movie, and then you could do it right. I mean, how inventive! Like on new releases, it's be quiet, don't be on your phone, all that stuff, which I love. That I hate it when people get on their phones or when they start talking in the movie. So that was great. But then they also knew that, hey, there's some movies that you have to talk to the screen with. And so the fact that they would have those quote-alongs in the movies that they would have.
Yeah, rowdy showings of Cats.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Go celebrate this terrible film with other people who know it's a terrible film.
See, I would just be afraid a fight would break out and then somebody would kill some cat. But no.
Be a cat fight. Two women. It'd be kind of hot. Be kind of hot, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a huge one, I would say. To have that be gone. And then, of course, I liked what they had there was I actually liked their tacos. Their breakfast tacos were pretty good. They were Hatch chili breakfast tacos. So a couple of matinees I went to during the morning, I was able to get those breakfast tacos, and I loved it. So big loss for us to not have an Alamo Drafthouse. I guess we're going to all say now.
And they were starting to open all over the place, right?
They were.
In downtown Dallas.
And now what we're going to have to do is remember the Alamo.
Might have to take a trip to Austin. That's all.
Might have to get down there for that one and last and final time to say, hey, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been cracking up. We want to do a special feature here today. And before I even do the special feature, I need to make the special announcement for the special feature that we're going to do. And so with our last show of 2020, it'll be our last show of 2020, knowing we're going to go into 2021. But I'm sad to say that the film Samurai, today will be his last show. So Samurai, talk to the fans. I know they're going to miss you.
Yeah, it's been this last 2 years have just flown by. And I definitely loved every show that we've done. It's been great. I decided to just kind of step away from all social media, and I shut my Facebook down a little while back. And Twitter has kind of evolved in it used to be more of a community, and people really talked about films and got into it. But now it's just like people chasing clout. They're just throwing out stuff just to be controversial. It's gotten a lot of negative. I still have a lot of good friends on there, and I'll miss them. I got to actually meet a lot of them in real life, and they're all great people, very passionate about film. And I'll miss those movie recommendations. But I'm going to start I'm going to try to get into something creative. I'm turning 60 years old next year, and I want to just kind of explore some creativity. I used to draw a lot, so I'm going to try to get back into drawing and doing more writing, maybe. Maybe write a script. Who knows? We'll see how that goes, and just do some other stuff. I just enjoyed it and loved you guys. Have been great, and enjoy hearing other people's tastes in films. Just talking about it. It's very passionate about it. So
yes, and Kazak,
yeah. I mean, like I said, we of course know, like I said, what it means that you need to be creative, things like that. We have been glad to absolutely have you on the show. When PJ started developing it, we really didn't know what we were going to get, and like I said, to help you see us grow this show, into what it is, and getting your takes on film and things like that. Because, like I said, the stuff you watch is definitely not the stuff I watch.
Yeah.
So getting that insight, and getting to hear your recommendations, it's been really fun. It's been really great to get to know you. And like I said,
Yeah,
we're going to be glad to have you back in studio for some special stuff.
I'll definitely be back.
Because I know we're glad to get you back in during
shots.
Oscar time and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
like I said, this is just this is not goodbye. This is so on for now.
Yeah. Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's good. And and to that end too, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, when I started this, you see the Vegabomber channel on YouTube. It's just a guy who was just wanting to talk movies, and wasn't trying to be all super up and try to get you all super, super excited. I just wanted to talk about movies and didn't really get into the whole algorithm thing and all that stuff. And so I thought, well, you know what? Why continue to do this solo? Why not get, it'd probably be more fun to have someone that's a good friend do it with you. And so I knew he knew his stuff, and so it was never a question of that. And so the fact that he was able to deliver and give what he gave is important. So we love the Samurai. We know we're not going to see this isn't the last time. We know we'll see him again because he'll come back like the Grudge or something else, right? No. I'm just kidding. He'll be better than the Grudge.
Once I get out, they pull me back.
So what we thought we would do then, as we appreciate Carlos and want to give Carlos this time, is we just want to give him his own segment here. All right. This is his for him to talk because he talks that talk well when it comes to movies. And so what I thought would be great, Carlos, it would be a treat for the fans and for us here in studio to check out, is just to give us maybe 5 movies that just personally helped you form your taste in film and get you to where you are. So we'll just call this segment Thoughts of a Film Samurai.
All right. Let's do it.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it. Okay, let's go backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as usual. I'm going to start out with a 2002 film directed by Yoji Yamada. It's called The Twilight Samurai. Of course, I got to have a samurai film in here.
That's right.
But this is not the traditional samurai where
At least it wasn't the
there's
last
not like,
samurai.
right,
Or Samurai Cop.
like Seven Samurai is a traditional samurai film. It's probably one of my favorite films of all time. It's definitely my top 5 for sure. But that movie is very intense. This one is more a quieter, meditative type of film, and it's about an ex-samurai he's in his twilight years. That's why he called Twilight Samurai. That was his nickname because he always left right when work was over. He works like in a kind of like an accountant. They're counting the goods that they have in the little village, but he has to go home immediately because his wife has passed away. He's taking care of his mother, who's like in her old years, like dementia, and 2 little children. And he's very poor. And it's a film that it really spoke to me. It's very, like I said, it's a very quiet film. And it's about a man who's just trying to do his best, just take care of his family. An old love comes back into his life. And that's another thing I loved about it is, that unrequited love. That always gets me, in a film. So I just love this film, and I've watched it a few times. I feel like watching it again, just thinking about it. But yeah, Twilight Samurai, if you've never watched this film, watch it. It's with the actor Yamada. He's the actor who played Dogen in Lost, and he's been in several other films. He was in The Wolverine.
Okay.
That guy. And if you see him, you'll recognize him. He was in Westworld as well. And he always plays this very, very serious character, but yeah, I always love that actor. Let's go to 1978, The Deer Hunter.
De Niro.
And I picked this one because this is a movie, my first date movie, right? I borrowed my dad's car.
This was a date movie?
A date
Yeah,
movie.
remember you
What?
told us
Yeah,
about
yeah,
something
yeah.
like this.
And this is what was so great about the girl I was dating. She went to this movie, saw it with me, and had no problem with it. She actually loved the movie. So you find somebody like that, you got to appreciate them, right? And we dated for a long time.
Yeah.
Debbie, I love you still. But yeah, it was one of those deals where, you borrow your dad's car, you get dressed up and go to the movie. We saw it at the old North Park Theater. It's long been torn down. But yeah, if you've seen The Deer Hunter, it's a very intense film, right?
Yeah.
The first half of the movie is these small town guys, these Russian descent, living in a Pennsylvania town. They're all steel workers, and then all of a sudden, bam, it goes to Vietnam. And De Niro, Christopher Walken, John Cazale, the whole cast, Meryl Streep, and it's definitely Michael Cimino. I mean, you could arguably say, okay, Heaven's Gate. A lot of people hated Heaven's Gate. I thought it was an amazing film. But as far as storytelling wise, The Deer Hunter was probably it won every Oscar just about, and I think it deserved them all. But yeah, I still think about The Deer Hunter in terms of the story it told, that time period in my life, late 70s, the ending of the 70s and getting into the 80s, but. My favorite era of film is the 70s. So yeah, it was kind of like the end of those artistic films, those films that said something and were on a kind of a sort of an epic scale as well. So it was kind of a combination of that.
Oh,
So,
that's pretty cool.
The Deer Hunter.
I wanted to see something like that too, except it was called The Beer Hunter. But yeah, I mean, yes, I'm with you.
Wasn't that my Broken Lizard?
Let's go to 1978, about the same time period, The Last Waltz. This is a documentary about the band.
Yeah.
And this is, I think the concert took place in 1977, actually, at the Winterland Theater in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And this was
same place Hendrix played.
right.
2 years before.
And the band was basically retiring from touring. They were, back then, 10 years was a long time for them. But look at the Rolling Stones, they're still making music. So it's like 10 years is nothing, right?
Yeah.
Compared to rock bands nowadays are going on forever, it seems. But Robbie Robertson, Rick Danko, Levon Helm, these guys made some incredible music. They were not as well known as the Beatles or Rolling Stones, but they were very respected. As a matter of, they were so well respected. Eric Clapton himself wanted to join the band. He loved that band so much that he wanted to join them. They backed up Dylan when he went electric, and of course, that was very controversial. People hated that. They wanted Dylan doing his old folksy blues stuff. But yeah, he was evolving as an artist, and the band helped him do that. And the reason this film kind of hits me personally is because I went with my dad, and this was a midnight movie at the old Granada Theater on Maple.
Really?
This is the festival used to show just Mexican films, it's from Mexico. They'd show them there. But over time, that kind of did less of that and then would show more genre films and stuff. It was kind of like the precursor of the Alamo, sort of. But it was a midnight movie. It was showing there. Me and my dad went. Of course, my dad kind of fell asleep halfway through it. But my dad was a big Dylan fan, Bob Dylan.
Okay.
And he went to see it because he wanted to see Bob Dylan. And, man, it turned me on to a whole, more music. Because I grew up on a lot of music. My brothers had Cream, Jimi Hendrix, Beatles, Who, Rolling Stones, all those albums. And I grew up listening to them,
Sabbath, dude.
but I was not into them. It was just like a casual thing. But I saw this film, I was like, wow, this is like, I bought the album, played it over and over, bought all the band's albums, and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was a great memory with my dad of just because he took me to a lot of films, and the old Inwood Theaters used to show a lot of foreign films, Louis Benoit films, just arts films. My dad was into that, so he just take me along and exposed me to a lot of stuff. So I always appreciate that about my dad. He's very well read. He was always reading, always into the arts.
Nice.
And I wish he was still around to see some of the films that I would appreciate and I knew he would love. If he could see it. So that was Last Waltz, and as a film itself, it's incredible to watch because it's very the way Scorsese shot it with multiple cameras, and there's certain scenes that were not during the concert, like they shot a scene with the Staples doing one of their songs, and it's a beautiful rendition because the band is playing, the Staples singers are singing, and it's just fantastic.
Wow.
I highly recommend this film if you've never seen it. It's just great. The next one, 2011, Terrence Malick film, The Tree of Life. This movie blew me away in theater. I saw it at the Angelica on Mockingbird. The sound system.
Is that Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain. Yeah. They were the mother and father. It's a very. It's not a, narrative type of film. Terrence Malick is more of a. It's almost kind of like a experimental, in the way he shoots certain films, the way he did it. It kind of evolved over time. Back when he did like Days of Heaven, that was more of a real storytelling. But this is more visual, audio. They had the sound cranked way up because of the music. It was majestic watching this film, and I related to it because it was based in Texas in 1950s. So it was like seeing these kids, what they were doing. I grew up doing that as well, going in a river, playing with tadpoles, throwing rocks at abandoned buildings, breaking windows, playing with your brothers, accidentally hurting each other, but forgiving each other. Yeah, exactly.
Pretending like there's swords.
And the dichotomy between the mother and the father was this very terse, very disciplinary, and taught the boys how to fight, how to be rough, manly stuff. The mother was more of a free spirit. She had lost a child and was more forgiving of the boys and what they did. And then it evolves into them as adults and how they're still, the psychic damage, that's done by parents to their kids. But it's just a beautiful film, almost like poetry on film in certain ways. And there's these certain shots, show a shot up in the cathedral in this stained glass round window, and the music is just incredible. It's probably one of my favorite Terrence Malick films. Terrence Malick is not for everybody, but if you appreciate him, you will appreciate this film.
Okay.
For sure. My last one I picked was 1953 film, directed by Yasujiro Ozu. Ozu is a Japanese filmmaker. He made most of his films in the 50s. I believe he went into the 60s. Most of his films are in black and white, and most of his films are talking about post-war Japan. And I really something about Japanese films, especially of that time period, where families really interacted with each other, right?
Yeah.
Everything was about, the relationships between parents and their children, children with each other, and so forth. This film is very...
and it's called?
It's called Tokyo Story.
Tokyo Story.
And I guarantee you, if you look at a lot of, movie critics will make their top 10 movie lists, and even Sight and Sound did a recent poll of all the critics and came up with the top 10 movies. Tokyo Story is always there. And
I've heard of Toy Story, just not Tokyo
Story. And he's done a series of these films, and they're all about families, basically. And he uses a lot of the same actors in each one. They're very static shots. They're always like a hallway. It's like the way Kubrick shots, one-point perspective. But it's just the interaction and the way they talk, the traditions they keep up, the way parents want their kids to be happy. They want them to be married. They want them to have kids. They want to have grandkids. Mm-hmm. It's very bittersweet and sentimental. The best way you can describe all his films are basically very sentimental films. So I imagine back then the audience for those were older generation. But he also had things to say about the new generation that was coming in, how the younger generation was becoming more independent. They were not exactly rejecting their parents' ideas of what is a family and so forth, but just becoming their own people, it's just an amazing film. This is another one I've watched several times, and it's just one of those, like a comfort film, you just watch it, and a Sunday morning is a perfect time to watch. It's just very quiet. Very little music there. I mean, the music is not obtrusive, it's just there. And it's just to me, they're just great quality films about life, about people, about families and so forth. So
Tokyo Story.
Tokyo Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of my post-war Japanese films involve Godzilla, so. Needless to say.
Godzilla!
Godzilla! All right, guys, we got to wrap it up.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, guys, we thank you all for watching us this year for 2020. This year is going to be over just 3 more weeks or so, and then that'll be done. So you'll have a Christmas, you'll have some New Year's. The next time you will see the Fulfillment Show will be January the 10th. And we'll be ready to roll at that time and start looking at, what can we look forward to for 2021. And my God, what would the Oscars even look like in February, right? So who knows? But we'll definitely continue that.
He'll be
journey.
Halloween, get something, I swear to God.
Oh, yeah, that and cats, right? That's
Yeah.
what that is, right? I think Doolittle and cats are the same. That's what I think is what I'm starting to think right about now. So we want to go ahead and do our shout-outs then. So... Film Samurai, who do you want to give this last shout out to?
Yeah, I want to shout out to anybody who's ever watched this show and enjoyed it and thought about it. And the usual, my son and daughter, my Matthew and Nicole, my cousins out in California, Stella and Joelle. There's a person on Twitter, Thunder in My Soul. I love you. She knows who she is. So
Okay.
that's it. And thanks for all the Twitter pals that just kind of interacted with me and gave me some great feedback and talked about movies with me.
That's awesome.
Love you all.
That's so great. How about you, Zach?
All right. Well, of course, again, shout outs to Carlos and thank him for, 2 years of just coming in here on Sunday mornings and just talking films with us. It's been really fantastic to get to know you, and it's been really fantastic having you in studio. So thank you for all you've done for us and helping us get this show launched. We're glad to carry it on, and we'll be glad to have you
It's
back
been
here.
my honor to do it.
We'll be glad to have you back in for Oscar picks and things like that. Again, one more time, like I said, we do want to, of course, shout out to all our other shows here on DallasOnAir.com. That includes our friends on Isle of Toys and the Rancor Pit. That's Cole Houston. On Figments, the Unexplained Mysteries podcast. That's Colleen and Annie Medina. And of course, like I said, check out Say Something. Check out Best for Business. Check out 12 Pack. Check out all the other shows that we offer right here in DallasOnAir.com because we got something for everyone. And one more time, if you can, please, if you have the means, donate to A Very Spidey Christmas. Like I said, help our friends Jansen and Kat get Christmas out to some folks here in need in the DFW Metroplex dressed as Spider-Man, Spider-Girl. Like I said, you can check out our profile on CBS 11. And again, we are a 501c3. We are tax deductible. Please give Christmas to those who may not be able to have it this year.
That's absolutely right. And so my shout outs will be to Brandy and Barry. They've been film fans forever. We would go see a lot of movies and bring seat cushions whenever they'd have that marathon of the Oscar movies that were going to be nominated. So they would do this thing out there at the Stonebriar Mall. So we would just sit there all day and you just have to bring a pillow because you know how those seats can be. Sean Presley, Lauren Wiedauer, Tristan Fraser, Harry Thomas is also a Twitter and also a movie guy as well. Troy Ross, Michael Paul, Daniel Meza, Mad Mel for sure. Eddie Medina and Cole Houston for sure. Stephanie Crane, Scott Laney, and Sandra. And big shout out to my bro, the Film Samurai, for just stepping up, doing it, doing it his style, doing it his way, which is exactly what we needed him to do, and he was just that. So that's the biggest shout out. And so with that, what are you guys going to be talking about for the end of the 2020? What movies really did it for you? Which movies didn't do it for you? And go ahead and comment. Let us know because we've been talking about that all day long. And also, if you want to find out more about what we're going to be doing next year, just keep following here. Go to the Vegabomber page on YouTube so that you can go ahead and sign up so you can see and get the alerts. And also, Facebook Live will always continue to do this because we love our relationship with Dallas on air. So with that, I'm just going to say, since we're not going to see you, Merry Christmas to you all and Happy New Year.
Sayonara. Goodbye, everybody. Love you all.